Good evening and Salaam Alaikum. As we know, the 2022 Ontario election will be held on June 2nd, within days, to elect member of Provincial Parliament of Ontario to serve as the 43rd Parliament of this great province. This is one of the most important elections for Ontarian because of many issues happening like education, healthcare, affordability, housing, etc. Kanar TV, the Arab Voice from Canada, have sent equal invitations to liberal, conservatives, and NDP candidates to interview them and introduce them to our audience. Today, we have one of these candidates, which I'm proud to call a friend. Let's welcome Shahbaz Syed, the Ontario Liberal candidate for Kanata Carleton. Hi, Shahbaz. Salam alaikum.
Can you hear me, Dr. Jamal?
Yes. Salam alaikum. How are you?
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Thank you very much for having me on the show, Dr. Jamal. It's a pleasure.
Shahbaz is a very active community member of Kanata Carleton in particular and in Ottawa in general. He's a great person as a human being. I met him several times and proud to say that we have a candidate from uh, Muslim communities running for this seat. And I wish him all the best. But before we give him our voice, we need to hear from him his views and stand on many important issues to our community. So that's why we're interviewing Shahbaz, and we hope that he can be one of our representative in the of the provincial parliament. So welcome, Shahbaz. And first questions, introduce yourself to audience who does not know Shahbaz.
Ahlan wa sahlan. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Jamal. It's indeed a pleasure. And for the audience who are seeing me today, I'm really happy to be with you today. And thanks to Jamal for arranging this. I think a quick few minutes with you. So I'm Shahbaz. I work as a finance professional at a Crown Corporation, and my best duty is to be a loving husband and a caring father. So I'm a father of four children. Two of them are at the university, one at Carleton, one at Ottawa U, and the younger are at the school. I've been involved in the community for a long time. I've worked on charitable causes in many areas, helping people in the flood affected areas, doing food drives. Community building is a passion. So I love connecting people. I love making bridges so that different segments of our society can work together. At this beautiful province of ours, I have a passion to work and make sure that we develop Ontario and make Ontario one of the best places to live on earth. It already is, and I just want to play my part in doing that.
Indeed, it is, and I wish all the best to everybody whose intention is to build a better place in this great province. Shahbaz, Kanata Carleton, it's one of the most important ridings in Ontario, I would say. It's diverse. It has a huge rural areas. It's a big riding. So tell me more about this riding, the need in specifically for this riding. I know there are issues that we will touch on, but specifically for Kanata Carleton.
That's a good question, Jamal. And you are right. It's a huge riding. So it has, if you can, usually the 80-20 rule applies. So 80% of the population live in the urban areas, which is primarily Kanata North and Kanata South. We do have 20% population which lives in 80% of the area. It's a beautiful, beautiful riding. It borders Ottawa River on one side and then borders other ridings on the other. And while it is a mix of rural and urban, it also prides itself as being the biggest I think probably one of the biggest high tech sectors outside the Silicon Valley. So as Kanata, we have around 23 to 24,000 professionals in high tech sector who work here, and the companies which we host, around 500 big companies in Kanata North in the high tech park, they contribute around $13 billion into the national GDP. So it's an economic super engine that we
Driving.
have here in Kanata, and the diversity is there too. So because people from across the world, they do come in for greater opportunities in Kanata. So we have a very good mix of people from around the world. So it's a beautiful place full of diversity and inclusion, and a good mix of rural and urban.
But this makes make it a little bit challenging for a candidate, or actually even if you become a member of parliament, to represent it, because you have to put a balance between economy and agriculture, rulers and farming. Is it a challenge, do you think?
I think it is what it makes it interesting, right? Because if you look at the agriculture sector that we have in the rural Kanata, we're very proud of that because that is the sector which produces the food that we eat on our table. So the agriculture sector is important. We usually get beautiful, festivals, garlic fest or carp agriculture fair. So it's very good to see that the farmers in our riding working so hard, producing goods that we enjoy on our table in the urban center. So it's a good mix of market, which is the urban Kanata, and also the rural Kanata, which is producing those those commodities and those staples, and also fruit and vegetables that we see on the table. So it's a good mix of those, and I think that is what Ontario is about as well, right? So as a province, we have a manufacturing sector, we have a high tech sector, we have a service sector, and we have a very a good functioning agriculture sector. So together, I think it's a good mix.
I think you have the best representation of whole Ontario in one riding.
That is right. That's right.
Okay, so let's discuss some of the topic on the issues that are very important for Canadian and Ontarian in particular. Let's talk about the healthcare. As we know that after the pandemic, we understood and we saw in our eyes how weak is our healthcare. Uh, Many problems. We couldn't manage many things that could be manageable. However, the new government is facing a harder time because everything is in her plate now. So, what do you think if you are winning as a Liberal Party? What you are gonna do to change this dilemma to help Ontarian to be proud again from their health system?
You're right, Dr. Jamal. I think historically we've been proud of the healthcare sector that we have in Ontario, which has served so far to most of us. But over the time, we have seen, because of the population increase and also some of the inefficiencies that have crept into the system, and sometimes lack of initiatives on the officials as well, that the healthcare sector has not performed as we Ontarians would expect. And especially, as you rightfully said, during the pandemic, we saw the services were not up to the mark, and of course there was a lot of pressure on the system, and that is where we are so proud, and we're so thankful to our frontline workers who have basically given their heart and soul out to making sure that everyone who needs healthcare services is provided. So we are very thankful to all our doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals. But at the same time, because of this growth in population and the stress that we see in the system, it is right time that we address this issue head on. So we need to have some out of box thinking so that we are able to address long standing issues. One of the issues that I have found at the doors, people are really concerned, and that is about lack of family doctors. So they are waiting, they've been waiting for a number of years, sometimes in some cases, and months at least, where they've not been able to find a family doctor. Other cases where people have stressed out has been the long waiting times at the hospitals. So, as Ontario Liberal Party member, I'm happy to report that we have some very interesting ideas in our platform. And Dr. Jamal, you would know as well, and as I do, because we work in community. We know there are a number of talented people who have immigrated to Canada, and Canada is very fortunate that it attracts the best talent from around the world. But when we bring in that talent, and that talent is unable to work in their preferred, or let's say their areas of expertise, we lack resource. We are wasting some of that talent. So doctors and nurses who are internationally qualified, they come in Canada, but because of the long road to becoming Canadized in terms of their experience and their qualification, they're unable to perform while they're seeking that route. So our party will be working on making that process accelerated. So international healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses included, when they come to Canada, move to Canada, make it their place of choice, where they want to live and settle, they will be able to work on their professional journey quicker, hopefully, with the steps that we're going to take. And also, it's important that we recognize the pressure on our medical schools and our universities. So we will be working on increasing the number of seats at the hospital, at the residency programs, at the universities, so that we basically address the supply line challenges that we are having in terms of attracting the high quality human resource in the medical care profession, and then making sure that they're able to perform when it is time. So I think with all these measures, we will hopefully see a better healthcare system. And finally, because of the pandemic, we saw a lot of procedures being delayed and lot of tests being delayed. So we will be investing $1 billion in making sure that we can take the backlog which has built up over the last few months and years, to clear that backlog. So I think with this investment, we will also see some good changes in the healthcare sector.
I agree with you, because we have too many immigrants coming every single year, like around 400,000. We
Yeah,
can't stay on the same system without increasing the capacity of the system.
correct.
Again, it's a whole system need to work together.
Yeah.
So we jump to the next important topic, which is education. As a parent, me myself, you yourself, and I think many of your uh, people in your riding, we suffer during pandemic as our kids do. So from face to face online, number of students in the class, absentee of the teachers, and no replacement, no really systematic way of going through something like pandemic. What do you think the education system have in the liberal agenda, and how it's important? Because it is, for me, I think it's the most important investment. It's the investment in the future of this province. It's in our kids.
Dr. Jamal, you made my answer very easy because you actually hinted on that. And this is investment. The investment that we make for in education is actually going to help us in the future, because this generation is going to grow up. If we equip them with the right tools and right education and right training, they are going to make this place even better. So, as a former lecturer at a university, I do understand the importance of education. I have four children at different levels of their different timeline of their education. So I understand the importance of that. And I've seen on through the online learning, I have seen how taxing it is for the teachers as well, because sometimes, if you're talking to a blank screen with screen not responding, imagine how difficult it has been for our teachers to basically teaching to blank screens. So online learning has been very, very difficult, not only for the teachers, for the education workers, for the students, but also for parents. So fortunately, as we see silver lining now coming out of pandemic, more in class learning is happening, and we as Liberal Party is fully supportive of having classrooms which are safe, which have the right kind of ventilation, and which are equipped to make sure that the learning environment is conducive for everyone. And for that matter, we will be, if the people in Ontario give us their trust and the honor to manage Ontario for the next 4 years, we will be cancelling the 4113 highway project and channeling $10 billion into our education sector. And that funding will help us with 200 new schools, repairing of 4,500 old schools. So this investment will be key in making sure that we usually, and historically, we've always taken pride in the education sector in Ontario. So with that investment, which is long due, hopefully we will get back to where we were. And finally, we've also seen the importance of having the right mix of health, the education workers, early childhood educators, other education sector workers, and the teachers. So we have plans to induct 10,000 new teachers over the coming few years, so that the lack of teachers issue is also addressed. So with all these, hopefully, We will be investing in the health, in the education sector, and hopefully we will turn it around, and we will be out of the woods soon.
Can you elaborate on the number of the students in the classroom?
Yeah, that is an important question, because the more like, so it has always been the case in education sector, the attention that teachers are able to provide if there are many more students to a teacher ratio, it is, if it's a ratio which is higher, it affects learning. So we understand 20 is an optimum number, so we will be limiting 20 students per class, so that the teacher student ratio is optimal, and it actually encourages learning, and it is not stressful also.
Uh, Great, thank you. The next one, I think it's one of the most important, and you've heard it every single day: affordability, cost of the life. Every single day, we've seen this: cost of gas doubling, cost of housing doubling, food is almost like 30 to 40%. So, where is the help coming from the liberal government if it's been elected? So, where do you think that you can, or what the liberal government can do to make this easier? Because to tell you the truth, everybody start thinking, okay, I'm not going to a trip this summer. I would like to afford my son a good meal, maybe running shoes, wherever. So it's became like a choice.
Uh, the affordability crisis is definitely something affecting ordinary Ontarians, and some of the factors are beyond our control. So some of the factors, because we are a trading nation, we trade with many countries around the world. We trade, most of our trade happens south of the border, because we have an economic superhouse on as a neighbor, which helps us, which is good for both sides. But we are also trading with European and other countries as well. So because of that pandemic, and because of the container flow that we saw dropping to very minimal levels, the supply line has been badly affected. So some of the cost input has gone up, so input cost for various sectors has gone up. So those are the things which we may not have a direct control of. But in Ontario, Ontario Liberal Party has come up with a 19-point agenda, which I guess is easily available for everyone who can go on our website to see. That 19-point affordability agenda will be helpful for everyone. But some of the key things from there, we recognize that the meal cost has gone up. So for the prepared food, we are taking away the provincial HST up to $20. So anyone who goes out and eat will be able to do that, taking that 8% HST out, which will help the people who are buying meals outside, but it will also help the restaurants, because they will be able to sell more. Secondly, across the province, all municipal and provincial transport, we are slashing the fares to $1 a ride. This $1 a ride is going to be helpful for many who are using the transit on a daily basis. I bus to work, when I was working in downtown. Now, of course, pandemic, I wasn't traveling that much, but for the 8 9 years that I've been traveling from Kanata to downtown, I always took bus, and I know, like, the fare, although it was manageable, but the current fare that we have is around $375 dollars a month. It is difficult for people who to afford that. So once we are able to introduce this $1 transit, they will be able to save almost thousand and plus dollars every year towards that. Thirdly, the seniors who are within those thresholds, which we have revised upward as well, they will be getting $1,000 extra in their pension. So these measures will help, somewhat with the affordability crisis that we see, and more so, if I take the affordability crisis and I stretch the concept and go to the affordable housing, that is another area where we will be focusing, because the housing prices, not only in GTA but in Ottawa itself, have gone through the roof. So those prices are not no more affordable for the younger generation. So we will institute what we call as the Ontario Housing Corporation, which will have houses for the first time home buyers only, not for speculators, not for everyone, but first time home buyers, so that people who want to buy their first home can get benefit from that. And overall, we will be building 1.5 million new houses over the next 10 years. So this will create some supply and will create some space for people to buy reasonable priced homes. So, and then again, these homes will be affordable, subsidized, full array of houses that will be built. Just in Ottawa itself, there'll be 10,000 new houses built. So I think with these measures, we will address hopefully the daily cost of living, and also the housing crisis that we currently have in our province.
I think my next is very related to the first and second and third questions, which is the economy. Economy is being on the edge in almost every country around the world because of the pandemic, or because of the changes in political and geopolitical eras recently, wars, and so how do you think that we as Ontario, as one of the biggest province, the manufacturer of Canada, can revive after this pandemic? What is the measures that the can liberal do to make more stronger economy and more jobs?
Yeah. So while it is important to basically work on concerns from all sectors, big businesses, small businesses, but as Ontario Liberal Party platform, and as a member of the party as well, we believe that the small and medium sized businesses are the backbone of economy. So we will be providing a 2-year tax break to small businesses. We will also be covering some, because we are also looking at the some incentives for the workers and making sure that their rights are protected. So we will be coming up with some incentives for these small businesses, so that when they compensate their employees, for example, the 10 paid leaves, we will compensate that by adding some money for the small businesses. Also, it is important to kickstart the economy. Small business, one, let's say, if they're able to really come out of pandemic strongly, then they will of course create jobs. They will add through their through the sales process, through their profits, and through their taxes, contribute to the provincial economy. We've also heard, because I was part of the Ontario Liberal Party's economy and labor squad, and Dr. Jamal, you'll be happy to know that our process was not that we just the creation of our platform was not a random event. We were working on this from January up till May. So you spent 4 or 5 months talking to many stakeholders. So as a member of the economy and labor squad, we spoke with almost 50 different institutions and stakeholders, and we have received their input and feedback, which has gone into the party platform. And that is where our platform is fully costed, and it has planned for the next 4 years and even beyond. One, for example, I'll just share one example, and that is when the current government came in, they actually dismantled the electric car, instead the charging stations and the infrastructure. We're going to reintroduce that. So we are bringing in the electric car rebate incentive again, which will create some capacity, some economic activity in our province, because as you know, Windsor and those areas, they are big engines for automotive sector. So we will see some production done in our province, creating jobs, helping our economy, and hopefully every person in Ontario who would like to switch to electric cars will benefit from not only the federal government rebate, but also from the provincial rebate. That will help economy as well. So and also I would like to just touch on the climate side. Well, I just mentioned about the $1 transit. The impact of that is that we will see 400,000 cars going off the roads every day, and that is going to be helpful for the economy as well. So I think with these measures, we are hopeful that we will be able to provide support to general Ontarians and also to the businesses as well.
So you're trying to play a more greener economy
That is
for the
absolutely right. Yeah,
which is the future of this
yeah,
country. So it's very important.
yeah.
Uh, hate crime, and racism became a little bit obvious here in Canada, even though it's, thanks God, it's not still not as much as in other countries, but we start seeing it. Especially, we've seen Quebec mosque shooting, Ontario, London, Ontario incidents or terrorist attack, whatever what you want to call it. Sadly, the current government voted against the Islamophobia Act. Uh, we are standing all against anti-racism and anti-Islam. We standing anti-Islamophobia. We standing anti-Semitism, and all these things. We standing against them because we live in this multicultural society and we love each other. We love to stay together as a community. Where do you stand as Shahbaz Syed? Where do you stand yourself on this matter?
uh, Connecting with people and loving the community that we live and people that we work with, that has been my mantra for life. So I've always respected and loved people and communities that I've lived in. So as a person, of course, I am totally against hate, in any form, in any shape, and against any group. As a party, we are very clear that hate does not belong to Ontario. Hate has no place in Ontario, and that could be against any group. So, and you rightfully said, it's a multicultural society. The acceptance and the tolerance and appreciation that we have for each other is what makes us different from others. So, as a party, we are fully committed to supporting my London Family Act, which talks about the Islamophobia. So, we are fully supportive of that, and through those acts, and even other groups who feel marginalized and who have been subject to discrimination, we are supportive of them as well. And as a party, as I said, we do not take hate lightly, and we'll make sure that the right legislation is in place, so that we take corrective actions and take those actions which are required. Just not talk, but take actions when any perpetrator of that hate crime commits that crime in Ontario.
I hope the next government will walk the talk and will not just talk. So before we go to another questions, I would like to introduce everybody to Shahbaz Syed website, which you can see more information about his campaign, how you can help. If you would like to donate, you still have time. I think until June the 2nd, you still have some days, so you can support him if you believe in him and his candidacy. You also go and volunteer with him. He still have days to go, and it's the hardest days, so he still needs volunteers. I understand he needs volunteers on the day of election, but the most important, go and vote. Believe me, your voice, the most important thing in all this, not the interview, not the donation, not the volunteering, is your voice, because it determines the future of this country. And remember, there were incidents in Canada that one vote determined the winner in the seats. So one vote, which means it could be me, it could be you. So please go and vote, cast your ballot, put yourself, put anything, but go and vote. I don't say you have to vote to this particular party or that one, but you have to participate in this uh, election. Shahbaz, you, me, and many of us, we flee to Canada, immigrate to Canada, refugee to Canada to seek the democracy. So it's the time to practice it. I think you agree with me, and it's very important to practice this democratical election. To put believe me, your voice is very important. So again, if you need to know more about Shahbaz, you can go to his website, which will be on the screen from now on. Uh, my next question, which is be a prediction that if you will be an MPP for Kanata Carleton, inshallah, what do you think your bill will be, the first bill you will introduce to the provincial parliament? Do you have this in mind, or still early?
I think it's a bit early, but definitely, can I, my main reason to commit myself to public office or public service is to make sure that I am able to take the voices of our riding to Queen's Park. So I'll be basically a conduit, basically a medium where I listen to, and I think my friends and family tell me I'm a good listener. My wife doesn't believe I'm a good listener, but I think I am a good listener. So I will ensure that whatever feedback I receive, I take it to the right. And you are so right, Brother Jamal, that and we have seen that we around the dining table we sit and we talk hours about politics. We meet friends and barbecues in the parks, and we talk about what is going wrong here and around the world. But it really, those discussions are important, but the action is much more important, and the best way to take action is to go out and vote. Because the if you look at, I'm just talking about the Kanata Carleton riding, for example, the turnout is very low compared to the federal election when it goes for the provincial election. So our riding, Kanata Carleton, has been liberal three times on the federal level, but provincial we have not been able to turn this riding red for the last 100 years. This is because of the low turnout and because people's general apathy, that they don't like politicians, they don't like the political process. But rather than complaining on the side, it is important to get active and go out to vote. So I'm not sure about what bill I will take to the parliament, but I can ensure that whatever my riding feels important and wants me to take it to the parliament, I will take that to the parliament.
I agree with you. So believe me, and this is a message to our audience. If you want to change, be the change. So that's the
Absolutely.
only things. Change yourself on June 2nd. Go and vote. This is very important. So Shahbaz, before we end, I would like to give you the last minute to message our audience from Kanata, Carton, or any other place in Ontario. Your message will be heard. So please, it's your stage.
Thank you so much, Jamal. I just would like to thank you again for giving me this opportunity and to connect with your learned community. I know your program is seen not only in Ottawa but across the country and even beyond. So my regards to everyone who is watching this program. And just one message which I usually give at wherever I get an opportunity to talk to people. One message I give, and I just share that with you as well. When we Because Canada for us is a choice. We have made a choice to come to Canada. So people come to Canada, with so many dreams in mind and so much hopes that when we arrive in Canada. And when we arrive in Canada, unfortunately, sometimes we carry the baggage from our homelands, from our previous places. Sometimes that baggage is good because then that ensures that you remain within the value system. And good thing is that Canada allows you to maintain your values. But at the same time, when some of the negative baggage that we bring in, either it is the domestic politics back home, it is some of the sectarian issues that we have back home, some of the personal infights and the political infights and whatnot, the group sentiments that we bring in. My only request to everyone who's listening and who will listen is to forget about what the issues that we have back home. Just forget about it. It's a clean slate. Canada is a clean slate. It's a great opportunity to practice something new, practice something which will make all of us proud. This is a great place. We should contribute towards it and make sure that we write a new chapter in history, not by looking back, by looking in the future. So that is my only request to you.
Thank you, Shahbaz. Thank you for all these nice words, and I wish you all the best in those coming days, 3 4 days to go. But they are very important. Again, if anybody would like to know more about Shahbaz or would like to help or donate, you can go to his website. But as we mentioned again and again, again and again, the most important is to go on June 2nd and cast your ballot if you didn't do that in the early vote. So by the end of this tonight, we would like to thank our candidate, Shahbaz Syed, the Ontario Liberal candidate for Kanata Carleton. Wish him all the best and would like to thank our audience. See you. Good night. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Salam. Assalam.